Today we're going to talk about a little framework that I use primarily on email, but also on LinkedIn or any other social platform to basically promote every day without sounding too salesy. And that's fundamentally the one thing that I've used for years, all through my agency or through my coaching, to attract dream clients and convert them with a conventional method by simply emailing once a day or posting once a day and just making an offer. Because when you make an offer, you allow somebody to come into your universe. It's like an invitation to help them. And I think it's almost like unethical if we don't make that invitation. Otherwise, they don't know that they can be helped. So, assuming you've got your content pillars dialed in and you know what you're talking about, you've been out there for a while, we can talk a little bit about the fundamentals, so top, middle, and bottom funnel contents, just to get the gist of it. Top funnel content is a little bit of a how-to tip, an explanation, a story, stuff like that, just so people can see the value. Whereas mid-funnel content is a little bit more of nurturing somebody, maybe how you do something, a step-by-step breakdown to give someone behind the scenes what it's like in your world. And then bottom funnel content is you making an invitation to basically say, buy my thing, right? But a lot of people go wrong because they either teach too much, so that's a lot of top funnel content, or they sell too much and then people unsubscribe or unfollow. And I found the best sort of mix there is to provide a little bit of information and a bit of entertainment, right? So infotainment, if you like. And I've been asked this question a lot. It's like, if you email too much or if you post too much, won't people get annoyed? And the answer is really simple. No, they won't, because the majority of people out there don't know how to write interesting and entertaining content. So one of the fundamentals that I use is like a framework that I made up, and it doesn't really have a name, but it's like the story, lesson, pivot, offer framework. And it's very, very simple. I essentially have a story bank on my notebook. I use Google Keep or like Apple Notes or whatever it is. And I start to see stories in everything that I do, because we don't want to hard sell. We don't want to go into that sort of territory. We want to be interesting, right? So one thing I do is I have a story bank, and these are day-to-day activities, hobbies, interests. For me, it could have been I went to a basketball game, I walked my dog, I saw my grandparents, whatever it may be. And just don't think of the sale, don't think of anything else. Just build a little story bank of incidents, right? So when we think of a story that has an incident, it has a main character and it has a time and place. And a guy on Instagram called Sun Yi calls this the 5-second moment. Like, if I can draw this thing out, that means it's a 5-second moment. Otherwise, it's a summary. And that's a really cool way of going about it. So you build your story bank, you start writing a story, then you switch hats and you're like, let's go to the lesson. What sort of lesson did I learn from this story that I can talk about? And then you bridge that gap, or you pivot the conversation so that you can make an offer. So story, lesson, pivot, offer. I think the doggy's drinking water behind us, so it's okay. We said it would have been unedited. So basically, what we can think about now is an example just to drill it home, right? So let's say I went to a basketball game with my wife, and we got VIP tickets. So we were in and then we were out. And that was the story pretty much, even though there was a queue and all of that sort of stuff, we were in and out as quickly as possible. Is there a lesson in there? We think about it, there was a fast pass that we had, the VIP ticket, and people who get the fast pass get premium perks, right? So we use the fast pass as the lesson if you want to skip the queue and stuff like that. Now, if we want to pivot, I always go through the lens of my coaching, let's say the business that I run. How does that relate to business? So having a fast pass is what people pay for. So people pay for speed, So then went to the basketball game. The lesson is the fast pass. You can skip the queue. The pivot is people in my world who want the fast pass. I have all the goods you need in order to get you to dream outcome. And then the offer part is really easy to talk about now, because then you can simply say, that's why I'm opening the doors to my program. So if you want, DM me fast pass and I'll reach out with the details. But you see how this is infotainment at its best, because you've told the story, you've got the lesson, then you've pivoted, made sense of it in a business lens, and then made the offer. It's really, really fun to play with. So people look forward to your emails. They get to see a little bit about you. They get to get closer to your universe. So then selling is really passive and it's not aggressive in any way. People almost like, if they don't want it, they can just keep reading. And if they do, you make that invitation. I hope that's useful.